Archaeologists used ground-penetrating radar beneath Easter Island and discovered something that rewrites everything we thought we knew about the Moai statues. They found bodies. The giant stone heads everyone photographs aren't just heads, they're full bodies buried up to 20 feet deep. And carved into those buried bodies are intricate petroglyphs that reveal a civilization far more sophisticated than anyone imagined. But that's just the beginning. The discoveries beneath Easter Island over the past 5 years have fundamentally changed our understanding of Polynesian navigation, pre-Columbian engineering, and what happened to the people who built these monuments. The island's secrets have been hiding underground this entire time. And what researchers found changes the story completely. Here's what everyone got wrong for 200 years. When Europeans first reached Easter Island in 1722, they saw giant stone heads scattered across the island. 887 of them. They documented the heads, measured them, photographed them. Museums displayed them. Tour guides explained them. The world knew Easter Island for its massive stone heads. Except they're not heads. In 2012, archaeologists from UCLA began excavating 2 of the most famous Moai statues to study their base structure. What they found beneath the surface was shocking. The heads had full torsos, arms, and hands carved into the stone. One excavated Moai measured 7 meters above ground. Below ground, it extended another 5 meters. The buried portion was as detailed as the visible head, complete with ceremonial markings and decorative patterns. The ground-penetrating radar survey confirmed this is universal. Every single Moai statue has a buried body. The ones still standing at Rano Rautarku Quarry, the ones tourists photograph, thinking their heads planted in the ground, are full sculptures buried to their shoulders in 1,000 years of sediment accumulation and erosion. The island's topography changed so dramatically over a millennium that what was once ground level is now 15–20 feet underground. But here's what makes this discovery actually important. The buried portions of the statues contain information the visible portions don't. Petroglyphs carved into the torsos, symbols indicating clan affiliations, ceremonial markings showing status and purpose. For 2 centuries we've been studying these monuments while missing 70% of the actual sculpture and 90% of the information carved into them. In 2021, researchers from the University of Auckland completed the most comprehensive analysis of Moai petroglyphs ever conducted. Using high-resolution 3D scanning on excavated statues, they documented over 400 distinct symbols carved into the buried torsos. Previous studies had identified maybe 50 symbols on the visible heads. The buried bodies contained 8 times more information. The petroglyphs aren't decorative. They're writing. Not alphabetic writing like English, but logographic symbols representing concepts, lineages, and astronomical events. One excavated Moai from Ahu Tapito Kura contained a sequence of crescent moon symbols corresponding to a lunar calendar. Another from Ahu Tongariki showed symbols matching Polynesian navigation charts used for trans-Pacific voyaging. But here's the revelation that changed everything. Multiple Moai contain identical symbol sequences in the same positions: left shoulder blade, right torso, base of the spine. This isn't random carving. It's standardized placement following specific rules. The symbols on the buried bodies were templates, potentially representing manufacturing instructions, clan ownership, or ceremonial dedications. The most significant discovery came from Moai 156 at Rano Rautarku Quarry. Excavated in 2022, this statue contained the longest continuous symbol sequence ever found. 73 distinct glyphs running from the chest down to the base, buried 18 feet underground. Dr. Carl Lippo from Binghamton University, who led the excavation, stated this sequence appears to be a genealogical record tracing lineage back 9–12 generations. We thought these were monuments. They were actually historical records carved in stone. In 2020, Archaeologists conducting soil analysis in the Rana Radaku crater discovered something they weren't looking for: void spaces. Ground-penetrating radar showed hollow areas beneath the quarry, where over 400 unfinished moai remain. Follow-up excavations in 2021 revealed what those voids were: carved tunnels and chambers connecting different sections of the quarry. These aren't natural lava tubes. They're deliberately carved passages with worked stone walls, some over 200 meters long. The tunnels connect quarry sections where different statue sizes were carved. Small moai production areas connected to large moai areas connected to specialized carving zones. This suggests organized, assembly line manufacturing of statues using underground logistics networks. The chambers are even more intriguing. 3 excavated chambers contained stone tools, basalt hand axes, obsidian blades, coral abraders, organized by type and size. Another chamber contained food storage areas with preserved sweet potato remains, carbon dated to 1400 to 1450 CE. This wasn't just a quarry, it was an industrial complex with tool storage, food supplies, and worker infrastructure located underground. But here's why this changes the collapse narrative. The traditional story says Easter Island society collapsed from deforestation and resource depletion. But these underground chambers contain evidence of sophisticated resource management and long-term planning. One chamber held water collection systems, carved channels directing rainfall into storage basins carved into bedrock. For decades, the great mystery was how they moved the moai. These statues weigh 14-80 tons each. The largest, El Gigante, weighs 182 tons. How did a civilization without wheels, draft animals, or metal tools transport these monuments up to 18 kilometers from the quarry to coastal platforms? The popular theory was rolling or sledding. Archaeologists demonstrated you could move statues by rocking them side to side while pulling forward, walking them upright. It worked in experiments. Discovery Channel made documentaries about it. Then in 2019, researchers analyzed pollen samples from sediment layers along ancient transport routes. They found fiber remains, not just any fiber, but processed Triumpheta symmetriloba bark fiber, identical to fibers found in rope fragments in excavation sites. Chemical analysis showed these fibers were treated with a specific process to increase tensile strength. The 2022 discovery proved how they actually moved statues. Excavations at Ahu Tapito Kura uncovered a complete rope system still attached to a partially transported moai. The rope configuration was completely different from modern theories. The ropes formed a sophisticated pulley network anchored to bedrock points along the route. The statue wasn't pulled forward, it was levered and ratcheted using mechanical advantage. Dr. Terry Hunt from the University of Arizona calculated the forces involved. The rope system used 5-1 mechanical advantage, meaning moving an 80-ton statue required only 16 tons of pulling force, achievable with 160-200 people using coordinated pulling rhythms. The rope marks in bedrock show they used the island's natural topography as fixed anchor points, creating a chain-link transport system where each segment of the route had dedicated pulling teams. But here's what this reveals about their engineering knowledge. This wasn't brute force. This was calculated mechanical engineering using principles of leverage, mechanical advantage, and load distribution. The Rapa Nui people understood physics well enough to move 80-ton objects, 18 kilometers without modern equipment. The question was never could they move them. The question should have been, why did we assume they couldn't have sophisticated engineering knowledge? The traditional narrative says Easter Island collapsed from deforestation caused by overpopulation. Without trees, soil eroded. Crops failed. Population crashed from 15,000 to 2,000. It became a cautionary tale about environmental destruction and resource mismanagement. But sediment core analysis from 2021 tells a completely different story. Researchers from the University of Chile drilled core samples from Rano Raraku and Rano Kau crater lakes. extracting continuous sediment records spanning 3,000 years. The pollen and charcoal data revealed something shocking. The massive deforestation happened over just 50 by 80 years in the late 1500s and early 1600s, not gradually over centuries as the overpopulation theory requires. This timing corresponds exactly with documented climate events, bringing cooler temperatures and altered rainfall patterns to the South Pacific. Tree ring data from surviving Sephora to Ramiro specimens shows severe drought stress in the 1570s to 1590s. The trees didn't die from human cutting, they died from climate stress. Humans then used the dead timber, creating archaeological evidence that looked like deforestation but was actually salvaging dead trees. The 2023 population genetics study was the final piece. Researchers analyzed DNA from 19 pre-European contact, Rapa Nui individuals from burial sites spanning 500 years. Here's what actually happened. A small but sophisticated population of 3,000–4,000 people used advanced engineering to accomplish projects we assumed required massive populations. They managed resources sustainably for 600+ years until a rapid climate shift destroyed their primary tree species. The collapse wasn't caused by their choices, it was caused by climate change they couldn't control. The cautionary tale we told about Easter Island was wrong. In 2020, DNA analysis of 15 pre-European contact Rapa Nui skeletons revealed something that shouldn't be possible: South American genetic markers. Not European, not from post-Columbian contact. These markers dated to individuals who lived and died between 1280 to 1495 CE, a full 150–200 years before Europeans reached the Pacific. The genetic evidence showed multiple contact events. This wasn't a single shipwreck or accidental drift. Multiple individuals across multiple generations showed South American DNA admixture, suggesting sustained contact between Easter Island and South America beginning around 1200 CE. The sweet potato, a South American domesticate, had somehow reached Polynesia by 1000 CE. We assumed it was post-Columbian introduction. The DNA proves we were wrong. But the 2022 discovery made this undeniable. Archaeologists excavating a burial site at Anacaina found remains of a chicken, specifically Araucana chicken breeds, native to Chile. The bones were carbon dated to 1321 to 1407 CE. This chicken traveled from South America to Easter Island 180 years before Europeans existed in the Pacific. There's no natural explanation. The only explanation is deliberate trans-Pacific voyaging. The navigation required for this is extraordinary. Easter Island is 2,300 miles from South America, 1,200 miles from the nearest Polynesian island. It's one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth. Successfully navigating there and back requires sophisticated celestial navigation, seasonal wind pattern knowledge, and purpose-built ocean-going vessels. The Rapa Nui people weren't isolated. They were connected across thousands of miles of open ocean. Every discovery beneath Easter Island over the past 5 years points to the same conclusion: we dramatically underestimated this civilization. We saw stone tools and assumed primitive. We saw isolated island and assumed limited. We saw environmental collapse and assumed mismanagement. We were wrong on every count. The buried Moai bodies reveal these weren't crude monuments. They were detailed sculptures with complex symbolic systems carved into every surface. The petroglyphs show standardized writing systems recording genealogy, astronomy, and ceremonial information. These people were literate in their own logographic system. The underground quarry complex shows industrial-scale organization with tool management, resource planning, and infrastructure engineering. The water collection systems prove they were solving resource scarcity problems, not causing them. The rope systems and bedrock anchors prove they understood mechanical physics and leveraged it to move 80-ton objects with teams of 200 people, not thousands. The engineering sophistication matches anything being done in Europe during the same period. The climate data proves their collapse was a climate catastrophe, not resource mismanagement. They sustained 3,000 might or so 4,000 people on a tiny isolated island for 600 years. That's success, not failure. The rapid deforestation was climate-driven tree death, not human short-sightedness. The South American DNA and chicken remains prove they were voyaging across 2,300 miles of open ocean and maintaining contact with South America a century before Europeans thought it was possible. Their navigation technology was comparable to European ships of the same era. Here's what all of this reveals. Easter Island wasn't a cautionary tale about environmental collapse. It was a testament to human ingenuity adapting to one of the harshest environments on Earth. A tiny population of 3,000 missing 4,000 people created 887 massive stone monuments using advanced engineering, maintained sustainable resource use for 6 centuries, developed their own writing system, and navigated across thousands of miles of ocean, all on an island 63 square miles in size with no metal, no draft animals, and no connection to major civilizations. The Moai weren't monuments to hubris. They were monuments to genius, and everything we thought we knew about them was based on looking at only 30% of the sculpture and completely misunderstanding why the civilization collapsed. The bodies buried beneath Easter Island for 1,000 years are finally revealing the truth. The people who built these monuments were far more sophisticated than we gave them credit for. And the biggest discovery isn't what's underground. It's that we spent 200 years looking at these statues and never bothered to dig deeper until now.